It's the morning weather briefing. This is for Tuesday, the 29th of August. I'm James Spann. Of course, all eyes are on Hurricane Idalia in the southern Gulf of Mexico, but Alabama will still see a chance of showers and thunderstorms around today. Let's go right to the upper air look. And again, the heat ridge is weakened and moved well to the west for now, and that being replaced by colder air aloft and unstable air. So like yesterday, we'll see a number of showers and thunderstorms across Alabama today. Not raining everywhere, but many spots will see a decent chance of catching a downpour or two. Temperatures this morning are in the 70s. We're expecting highs mostly in the 80s for the northern half of the state. Low 90s for South Alabama. The heat levels at Mobile should be lower today, thankfully. And, of course, across the southeastern states, the main issue is with Idalia. And those are hurricane warnings you see down to the south and east from Indian Pass, Florida, down toward Tampa Bay, and much more on the hurricane here in just a moment. And other than that, things pretty quiet across the country. So this is the severe weather outlook today and tonight. We have a marginal risk for parts of Idaho and the adjacent states, but, of course, the focus is on Florida, where there could be a few isolated tornadoes in the spiral bands on the east side of Idalia. We have a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 risk, including Tampa Bay and Gainesville. And this is for tonight as the system approaches, a marginal risk for the rest of the peninsula. And then tomorrow we have a risk of isolated tornadoes along the South Atlantic coast. This would include places like Savannah and Charleston, Cape Fear, up toward the Outer Banks as Idalia moves northeast. And again, Alabama's on the good side, the good west side. We have no chance of any severe weather here. Most of the state will not see any rain directly with Idalia, except the southeastern counties. And then on day 3, which is Thursday, no organized severe weather expected across the country. Rain for the next 7 days. Obviously, the big numbers are east of Alabama in association with Idalia. And again, you can see amounts in the 5 to 8 inch range, where you see the shades of yellow there. Tallahassee, Lake City, up through parts of southeast Georgia, the eastern half of South Carolina. It'll be a big soaker, but at least it will be moving at a good clip. So it's just not going to sit there, and we're going to see these incredible rain amounts like we see with some tropical systems. And again, for Alabama, the main chance of rain directly with Idalia will be coming across the southeastern counties, down around Dothan, Ozark, places like that. They'll see breezy, showery conditions tomorrow, but the really dangerous weather with the hurricane will be even well to the east of there. So here's the broad tropical picture this morning. And the MDR is really quiet out there, the main development region. And obviously we have the two systems on the board. We've got Idalia and we have Franklin. Franklin, this thing just is an incredibly symmetrical hurricane yesterday. It's beginning to look a little lopsided today. It's starting to weaken, but still it's a very formidable Category 4 hurricane that is passing west of Bermuda today with top winds of 140 miles an hour. And this will pass west and north of Bermuda and then kick out into the North Atlantic, becoming post-tropical later this week. But let's look at Idalia. And boy, we've talked way too much about how to pronounce this name. The focus has got to be on the impact here. Just don't worry about the pronunciation. So it was upgraded to a hurricane early this morning by the National Hurricane Center, and you can clearly see that northward motion now. It's moving north at about 10 miles per hour. The track has been nudged a little to the west again in the 4 a.m. advisory package. But the basic concept is the same. We have a hurricane warning in effect for the areas in red on that map, from Indian Pass right around the Big Bend down to Tampa Bay and Longboat Key. And anybody in that hurricane warning area should be prepared for a major hurricane. The hurricane warning does not include Panama City Beach or Destin, 30A. That's on the good side. It'll be windy, obviously, tomorrow, and there'll be some rain. But the big problems, as you look at this map, will be along and to the right, to the east of that center line, in terms of storm surge, fresh water flooding, the possibility of tornadoes, and, of course, wind. This is the ATCF set, and again, the models have been creeping a little to the west. But again, with all of the good data they're getting now, and of course there'll be more data in there today, the confidence is fairly high in that general scenario. Could it change? Yes. Anything could change in a tropical forecast, and we say this all the time. If you're working with old information, You're working with bad information. The intensity guidance is always the tough part of these. Some of the members of the ATCF set bring it up to a Category 3. These models typically don't do well with RI, rapid intensification, and there's certainly good reason to believe this will be a Category 3 at the time of landfall. Could it be a 4? Sure. In fact, we always tell people to plan on a hurricane a category higher than what's in the forecast. In terms of the storm surge, the Hurricane Center is forecasting an 8 to 12-foot surge for places like Cedar Key. And thankfully, that's a sparsely populated part of Florida, but still, there's some lovely coastal villages there. And again, that's very problematic, and we worry about some of these YouTube cowboys getting in there that don't know what they're doing. It's very dangerous to be in that part of Florida when there's a landfalling major hurricane like that. Tampa Bay, the surge forecast is still 4 to 7 feet. This is the HAFS model. This is the newer model run by NOAA. And this is valid Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern. And you can see that it's got Idalia coming in southeast of Tallahassee to the east of St. George Island. And that's pretty reasonable. And again, the onshore flow, the big problems will be along and to the east of that center. St. George Island obviously will see wind and rain, but they'll be on the offshore flow side, the way it looks now, thank goodness. And you can see places like Cape San Blas and Panama City might escape with little rain. It'll be windy, of course, but again, it'll be offshore, and people are asking, do I need to evacuate Panama City or Cape San Blas? And you make your own decision. I don't make decisions for anybody because everybody has a risk tolerance level, but I would not evacuate because of the general situation there. But keep an eagle eye on updates today. But for Panama City, Destin, 38, Pensacola, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, the problem is going to be rip currents. The rip current danger will be high tonight through Thursday night. And you'll see double red flags, and obviously nobody needs to be in the water. And then the conditions really improve by the time the Labor Day weekend gets here. So let's go through the GFS model fans. This is the 06E run valid today at 4. And again, the heat ridge has been replaced by this trough over the eastern states, and that trough allows that escape route for Idalia. This is this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Let's go to the high-res HER. And again, you can see that we have the possibility of showers and thunderstorms around today. And understand it's not going to be raining everywhere today. But like yesterday, there could be some decent downpours. And also, there could be a few areas with strong winds. And the lightning output was tremendous yesterday. And all of these storms will be very efficient rain producers. We note that radar suggests that parts of Calhoun County had 4 inches of rain yesterday. How about that? All right, so this is tomorrow, Wednesday. Now, this is at 4 o'clock, and you can see the GFS has Idalia inland over South Georgia. Let's go to the 3-kilometer NAM, and this is valid tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Central. And again, you can see that the only part of Alabama that will really catch direct rain from this, most likely, is that southeastern corner of the state. You follow down to Dothan, and it will be breezy and showery and wet. But for the rest of Alabama, tomorrow looks fairly dry with some sun and highs in the 80s. And, of course, we'll have a north wind on the west side of the circulation of this thing. And then Thursday, Idalia's around Cape Fear, moving out into the Atlantic, and Alabama dry. Very nice. Continental air. We're going to see maybe some 50s Thursday morning over North Alabama. Come on now. Highs 80s for North Alabama, low 90s for the South. And then the Labor Day weekend looks great. This is Friday. This is Saturday. This is Sunday. And this is Monday. So we're looking at sunny days, fair nights. The chance of rain down on the Gulf Coast, even there, is really small. Heat levels creeping up a little bit, but again, the number's not that bad. If you're in North Alabama, upper 80s. to near 90, low 90s for South Alabama. And this is a week from today. This is Tuesday, the 5th of September. And that old stinking ridge rebuilds, not as strong as it was, though, 5 days ago. And again, we're dry. So let's go out 10 days. This is Thursday of next week, the 7th of September. And the GFS depicting a little tropical feature just east of Melbourne. But hey, this is 10 days out. We know that probably will vanish. We'll check rain for Birmingham off the European ensemble, the mean between 1 and 2 inches between now and the 13th of September. Temperature is just not bad, really, through Labor Day. This is for Birmingham. Your number could vary. Look at tomorrow, 84, Friday, 85, again, 65 down Thursday morning, meaning some of the cooler pockets could see 50s. And then we go back up toward the low 90s next week. But again, that's pretty typical for September. And if you're new here, it doesn't magically turn cool in September. It never has worked that way. And the latest guidance for mid-September, this is for the 5th through the 11th, 8 to 14-day guidance, suggesting that old ridge tries to rebuild with temperatures maybe above average again by then. So once again, if you're just joining us, and I know that most of you watch this recorded version later, but a lot of people watch it live. And if you're new here, we're typically live early in the morning, and then about 5:15, 5:30, and then at about 2:45 in the afternoon. We're live at 5:38 a.m. here. That's a look at Idalia, and it's in the southern Gulf of Mexico with winds of 75 miles an hour. Hurricane Center nudging the track just a little to the west on the early morning update. They bring it in southeast of Tallahassee as a major Category 3 hurricane Wednesday morning. And again, the hurricane warning extends from Indian Pass down to the middle of Longboat Key. That includes Tampa Bay. And remember, the main impact will be along and to the right, to the east of that center line in terms of storm surge. And again, the latest guidance from NHC suggesting a storm surge of 8 to 12 feet in that Big Bend region of Florida. And it's a very dangerous hurricane. Goodness, I have been directly in an upper end Category 3 a couple of times. You don't want to do that. It's not good. So everybody obviously is making preparations today. Wanted to mention quickly before we go, on this date in 05, that was happening. Hurricane Katrina made landfall. And of course, the big national story, the levee failures in New Orleans, which was more of an engineering failure. The flooding, of course, was catastrophic there. But, really the big story in terms of wind was the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and they didn't get a lot of publicity, but it was just horrible. And understand, Katrina was a 3 at the time of landfall. Speaking of 3s. And the day before, this was the doomsday statement put out by Robert Ricks from the National Weather Service in Slidell. And I still get chills when I read that thing. But boy, that statement pretty much nailed it. A lot of people thought that was a hoax. But it was no hoax, and unfortunately, it certainly came to pass. So again, Katrina on this date back in 05. So this morning, I'll be going over to Briarwood Presbyterian to see the senior adults. Tomorrow, I've got Gaston School in Etowah County. Thursday, Hackleburg Elementary. And we all know what happened up there. Horrible EF5 tornado, April 27, 2011. Always love to visit Hackleburg. Friday, Summerton Christian in Walker County, and no book signing this Saturday. We'll be back on the road a week from Saturday in Tuscaloosa. I believe I'm pretty sure we're at Strange Brew Coffee, and that'll be a lot of fun. But more on that later. Of course, we invite you to watch us on television this evening, ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.